The emergency shelter on Station Kepler 442 hummed with the quiet desperation of displaced souls. James Morrison sat on a worn bench, his 6-year-old daughter Jessica coloring beside him with stubby crayons on recycled paper. The evacuation from the mining colony had been sudden. Corporate liquidation, they called it, and now 300 humans found themselves stranded in the outer rim with nowhere to go. Across the vast hall, something caught James's attention. A figure sat alone, distinctly non-human with crystalline skin that refracted the harsh fluorescent lights into subtle rainbows. She was Valorian, James recognized from the news feeds. Her planet had been consumed by its dying star 6 months ago. Beside her, a small child, no more than 4 in human years, pressed close to her side, eyes wide and frightened. Jessica tugged his sleeve. "Daddy, why is that lady glowing?" "She's from far away, sweetheart. A different world." "She looks sad?" James nodded. The Valorian woman did look sad, devastated actually. Her shoulders curved inward as if she carried an invisible weight. The station had processed thousands of Valorian refugees, but resources were thin. The galactic community had been sympathetic but slow to act. That evening, James learned her name was Sarah. They stood in the same ration line, and Jessica had wandered over to the Valorian child, offering one of her precious crayons. The language barrier didn't seem to matter. Children had their own universal language. "Your daughter is kind," Sarah said in heavily accented standard. Her voice carried a melodic quality that made even simple words sound like poetry. "She's had to grow up fast," James replied. "Lost her mother 2 years ago, cancer." Sarah's luminescent eyes dimmed slightly. "I understand loss. My husband died in the evacuation. He made sure our daughter Lyra and I reached the transport ships. He did not." They stood in silence, 2 strangers bound by grief and circumstance. Over the following weeks, James and Sarah developed an unexpected friendship. The station administrators had segregated refugees by species, citing cultural compatibility, but the human and Valorian sections shared a common recreation area. Jessica and Lyra became inseparable, teaching each other words and games that transcended their different biologies. James learned that Valorians metabolized silicon-based nutrients, which the station had in short supply. Sarah had been giving most of her rations to Lyra, slowly starving herself. When he discovered this, something shifted in his chest. "You can't help her if you're dead," he said bluntly, pressing a crystalline supplement pack into her hands, purchased with credits he'd earned from maintenance work. "I cannot accept. You can and you will." Jessica would be heartbroken if anything happened to Lyra's mother. Sarah's eyes glistened. Apparently Valorians could cry, though their tears evaporated instantly in rainbow mist. "Why do you help us? Humans are struggling too." James watched their daughters playing, Jessica's laughter mixing with Lyra's chiming giggles. "Because that's what humans do, we help. Sometimes it's the only thing we're really good at." The station administrators announced new resettlement protocols. Families would be prioritized, but single parents faced years-long waiting lists. James felt his stomach drop. Jessica needed stability, education, a real home, not this limbo. That night, he couldn't sleep. An idea had taken root in his mind, audacious and terrifying. In the morning, he found Sarah in the common area. "I have a proposal," he began awkwardly. "It's going to sound crazy." Sarah tilted her head, a gesture he'd learned meant curiosity. "The resettlement prioritizes nuclear families, 2-parent households. We're both single parents at the bottom of the list. But if we—" He paused, suddenly aware of how insane this sounded. "If we registered as a bonded pair, both our daughters would qualify immediately for the settlement program. They're offering homesteads on New Terra Nova, land, resources, educational facilities." Sarah's crystalline skin flickered through several colors: surprise, confusion, consideration. "You propose a marriage of convenience? I propose giving our daughters a chance at a real life. A home. You wouldn't have to pretend anything beyond the paperwork. Separate quarters, separate lives if you want. But together we could get them off this station. This is acceptable in human culture. Such an arrangement?" James laughed bitterly. "Humans have done a lot worse for a lot less noble reasons. But yeah, it happens. It's practical." Sarah was quiet for a long moment, her internal light pulsing in patterns James had come to recognize as deep thought. Lyra asks me every night when we will have a home again. I have no answer for her. Jessica draws pictures of houses, James said softly. Every single day. With a yard and a tree. She's never even seen a real tree. And you would do this? Bind yourself legally to an alien widow and her child? Your daughter needs a home. Mine wants a mother. He met her eyes. I'm not promising love or romance or any fairy tale nonsense, but I can promise I'll work hard, protect both our kids, and give them the stability they deserve. Can you promise the same? Sarah extended her hand and James took it. Her skin was warm and smooth like polished glass. Yes, she said. I promise. The bureaucratic process was surprisingly simple. Interspecies bonds had been legally recognized for decades, though they were still relatively rare. Within 3 weeks, they stood before a station magistrate, with Jessica and Lyra as witnesses, and formalized their arrangement. New Terra Nova's sky was purple at sunset. Their assigned homestead included a prefab house, 20 acres of arable land, and a grove of native trees that bore fruit edible to both human and Valorian biologies. Jessica and Lyra shared a room by choice, their laughter echoing through halls that had seemed too large for a broken family. James and Sarah maintained separate bedrooms as agreed, but slowly, the boundaries softened. They cooked together, strange fusion meals that combined both their cultures. They worked the land side by side. They comforted each other during nightmares about the loved ones they'd lost. One evening, 6 months after landing, James found Sarah crying on the porch. He sat beside her silently. I never thought I would feel happy again, she whispered. But today Lyra called this place home. And I realized, I feel that way too. Sarah, James said carefully, this arrangement, it doesn't have to stay just an arrangement. If you wanted, she placed a luminescent finger on his lips. I know, I have been thinking the same thing. But let us not rush. We have time. We have a home. We have our daughters. The rest will come as it comes, James nodded. And they sat together watching their daughters chase bioluminescent insects across the purple twilight. 2 broken families becoming one whole one, united by the very human belief that compassion and pragmatism weren't opposites but partners in survival. In the end, humans were known throughout the galaxy not for their weapons or their technology, but for this, their stubborn insistence on finding family wherever they went, even in the most unlikely places.